Please welcome our next speaker in the Inspire session, Jeff Malone, General Manager, who's leading the charge for growth in the manufacturing sector. Jeff.
In every adversity, there lies the seed of an equivalent advantage, and in every defeat is a lesson showing us how to win victory the next time. That's from Robert Collier. It's been an underlying mindset that we've had to undertake at SRX over the last years, and it's going to be something that leads us in our evolution going forward. So my name is Jeff Malone, General Manager of Australia for SRX. We are the 2014 Victoria Large Manufacturer of the Year and recently described in the Victorian Medical Technology Strategy rollout as the Australian market leader in specialized electronics manufacturing and medical device assembly. We do about $40 million a year of business, about 75% of that is export, and that goes all over the world. And we're growing at about 15 to 20% year on year. Although originally from the US, I spent the last 12 years living and working in Asia. About 5 years ago, I had the opportunity to finally come to Australia. I say opportunity, loosely defined as being out of work in the middle of the GFC, living in central Java with my family. But we looked at it in a different way. We said, well, we've been dreaming of coming to Australia for a lot of years, and this is our opportunity. We weren't tied down to a job, a country, a place, and we had for the first time, we had really the opportunity to define our own future. So, what was the final key that got us started in Australia? In fact, it was a Girl Scout troop I'd started in Wuxi, China 10 years earlier. That Girl Scout troop, one of the girls in that troop, her father lived in Melbourne. He got me in touch with a recruiter. That recruiter got me in touch with a company. That company gave me an offer and helped us sponsor our visas so we could stay here in Australia. About 2 years ago, we've got our permanent residence, and in 6 months, we're hoping to become permanent Australian citizens. This brings me to 3 key points that are related to the earlier quote on adversity. 1, you have to stay positive. 2, you have to look out for opportunities, and new opportunities are by definition new. They're not going to look like the old ones. You have to be out on the lookout for them. And 3, you have to make sure you're ready to take the steps, take action when you find an opportunity. So when you do find it, take that action. Also, make sure you have a wife who's very supportive. I'll try to step you through 3 examples where SRX turned adversity and defeat into opportunity and advantage. The first, we're going to look back 5 years ago. SRX was struggling to get the size and breadth of opportunities that we really needed to be sustainable and to grow in the Australian market. So we also had a problem that we weren't diversified against. We didn't stand out as much against our Australian competitors. So how are we going to cope with companies who wanted their products made overseas and competitors who were very similar? Although we were larger, we actually starting a factory in Malaysia. Now, before anybody throws a tomato at me, I'll try and explain how starting that factory in Malaysia has been one of the key drivers for growth here in our Melbourne operations. And there's 2 ways that Australian market has grown for us through that. One is in product development. We could now partner with leading innovators across Australia on development of new technologies, providing local development support, and the right manufacturing solution for any product they required at the right time. Many had previously assumed that they had to take their IP when they developed it and move it offshore. We're a contract manufacturer. We don't own the IP. So they would take their new IP, their new research and development, and ship it offshore for manufacturing. They started to realize that not every product can be or should be done offshore. This not only brought significantly more business to SRX Melbourne, but it helped our Australian customers become more successful by providing what we like to call our have your cake and eat it too solution. So in the end, it's a reality that some products eventually do need to be made offshore. But why should we directly be shipping our IP overseas? We have a lot of opportunity here to keep that IP here, to add that value here. With regards to onshoring, companies who previously purchased only from Asia saw us as an opportunity to say, wait, I can bring my products back. A lot of my products don't fit manufacturing in Asia. They're highly engineered. They have a lot of change. We need to be more responsive to customers. We had quality issues. We have a lot of money sunk in inventory between those manufacturers and here. So by working with SRX, they could bring a lot of those products back, still have some products in our factory in Malaysia, but they overall lowered their inventory levels, improved their cash flows, improved the responsiveness to their customers, improved their quality. And we're now onshoring millions of dollars of products back to Australia from Asia because we have a site in Malaysia where the right products go, but not all of them. So again, instead of fighting the trend to ship offshore, we think we found a way to turn that adversity and that defeat into an opportunity. My second example relates to the building of complete products, not just printed circuit board assemblies. So even just as of 2 years ago, probably less than 10% of our revenue was generated from complete product builds. So our core business was printed circuit board assembly manufacturing. Anytime we did a complete product build, we had labor variances, we had quality issues, the components that came in, again, we were printed circuit board assembly manufacturers, we had plastic issues, we had component issues, we had final assembly issues, and all of those things we weren't as well prepared to manage. When we estimated how much labor time we needed, we always missed the mark, and we often set ourselves up for failure. So it was always a painful process. So what did we do to fix that? Well, first thing we had to do was look at ourselves. We had to stop being blame throwers. We were looking out at everything else and all of our problems saying, well, they caused that, they caused this, that's their problem, and it was always poor us. We had to stop and say, wait a minute, we're going to take ownership of this whole thing. We're going to say, these are our problems, and if we can find a way to solve these for our customers, we're more valuable. So we did that. We looked into ourselves, and we said, okay, we changed the way we did product manufacturing. We added more lean assembly methodologies to the way we set up new lines. We retrained people in production and project management and industrial engineering to help us to help our customers. My final example revolves around prototyping. Even as of a year ago, we didn't get involved in prototype builds if we could avoid it. They were costly. Every time we did it, we had to shut down a production line for a day to run a prototype. This has been our position for so long that by the time I joined SRX, we just weren't getting requests for prototypes anymore. Our customers had said, well, you're too expensive, et cetera, and the prototype quotes we did put out, people said, no thanks, we're going to go somewhere else. Last year, we had a kind of a final moment of enlightenment when one of our key strategic industrial design partners, their engineers, she called me on my drive home from work, and she said, listen, you just gave me a prototype quote that is 4 times more expensive than your competitor. You gave me the quote 2 weeks, they gave me a quote 3 days. Your quote is for delivery in 3 months, and their quote is for delivery in 3 weeks. And we've said to ourselves, this is a real problem. How are we have to solve this problem. Now, you might think, okay, what are you going to do? Well, it seems obvious now in retrospect. We invested in a prototype line. We said, you know what, we have to do this. We have to figure out a way. If somebody else can be doing it, why can't we? So what we've done is we invested in a prototype development line. We also invested in a software to do DFM and DFT analysis of those designs. So now we can become, when our partners come to us, we can become that person that can take you from initial design development, rapid prototyping at very low cost to reduce the pain for everybody. Having prototypes is like going to the dentist. It's a necessary evil, but nobody likes it. You want it over with as soon as possible and as painlessly as possible. We'd hope to get $100,000 a year out of our prototype development group that we started. In the first year, we've had almost $1 million through that group. And what we're finding is that for every dollar in prototype work that we do, basically at cost, we're getting $7 to $10 of long-term production coming into our site. So it's really paying off. Adversity and defeat is trying to tell you something. Don't allow it to turn you negative. Don't be a blame thrower. We all know the kind. Don't let it blind you to the opportunities it presents, often in ways you may not recognize. And finally, be prepared to take action and drive change when you see that opportunity. Thank you.